Okay, so we're going to kick off the next project by using the creepy cobweb stencil. So I've picked out a couple of colours of my distressing. I've got twisted citron and carved pumpkin, perfect Halloween colours. I've already just added a little bit of stencil tape down onto my work surface because I don't want the stencil to move, and I've cut a piece of mixed media cardstock, and I want to position it so that the center of the stencil is up in that kind of like top right hand corner. And then what I'm going to do later on is I'm going to turn it around and then position it so that we get two kind of different blending colors coming in from the side. So I'm going to take it so it's right at the edge. So just about there. It doesn't matter whether it's perfectly straight or not. And we're going to start off with the carved pumpkin. So I'm just going to load up my ink and then just hold it down with my fingers, and then I'm just going to work my way from the middle of that center, heavier in that central part and then getting lighter as I get towards the edge, and work my way down in a kind of diagonal pattern. And I want to try and cover every bit of the cardstock. Darker, going lighter. And the stencil has just moved. It's all right, I'm holding on to both anyway. That tape wasn't very secure. Now I can just give that a little bit of a wipe over with a wet wipe, just to kind of remove any of that orange that's still on there, because we don't particularly want any contamination. Stencil tape isn't very high tack. So, all right, and then we're going to turn that over and then replace that like so, and then come in with the twisted citron, and again holding it in place, do the same thing again. And we are going to be adding some focal points onto the card front, so it doesn't matter too much if it's not 100% perfect. But I like that. That's a nice kind of blended background, and we have got a little bit of moisture from where the wet wipe has gone underneath. I didn't manage to get it all dry, but that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so let's have a little bit of a tidy up, and then we'll be right back. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to create a little bit of kind of grounding down here. So I've got a piece of mixed media cardstock, which is pretty much the same width as my background piece. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear a kind of mound shape, like so. And then I'm going to turn that over and I'm going to use that, just turn that around a little bit, and I'm going to use that with some vintage photo, which I found in a drawer. So I've been blaming Ian all this time for stealing my vintage photo, but actually it was there in a drawer all this time. So what I want to do is I'm going to start off, and then I'm just going to come in and I'm just going to kind of create a bit of a shadow with this mask just over that green section. Just very, very lightly. And then when I take that off, you see we have that real nice kind of mound as a bit of grounding for the layers of the Halloween card. Love that. Okay, so now we're in a position to stick that down onto our first mat. And I'm going to use some spirit-based glue because it's Halloween. And I'm just going to add a little bit just onto the back. So this spirit-based glue, instead of it being water-based, it's alcohol-based. Hence the spirit. Nothing to do with ghouls and ghosties. So let's lift that up. But what it also does, it gives me a little bit of wiggle room because it doesn't grab perfectly straight away to create or get the border as even as I possibly can. There we go. Before it grabs. There we go. Maybe a little bit further towards the bottom, just really, really gently. Just kind of like try and even it out. And then my next layer I've got is yellow. And I'm going to do the same thing again with that. So I get some spirit glue. Turn that over, and then so this obviously is based on the dimension of a 6x6 card, so all of the mats that I've created here are all just about 1/8 of an inch all the way around smaller. And then I have my card front, which again is going to be black. So we've got all those lovely kind of little framing layers all the way around. So we can get that stuck on now. And it doesn't really make any difference what order you stick your layers on. You can do this now, you can do it at the end once you've got all your elements. Make sure we get the card the right way open. It will be the first time I've created a left-hand opening card. Don't really make that many cards these days. But there's just something about Halloween. I just can't resist. Cannot resist. Okay, so our main layer, or the main layer, is going to be one of those spooky houses, the haunted houses, which is going to sit on that mound, just like that. But what I want to do is I want to fill in all these windows with some yellow card. But before I do that, I want to make my house, put that to one side, I want to make the house shiny. So I'm going to use some embossing powder. And I've got a little bit of a tray here. I've got some Midnight Raven embossing glaze from Indigo Blue. And I've got some Versamark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the entire front and then we're going to dump all the embossing powder it's almost like flocking. And I think there's a little bit that I've missed at the top. I'm just trying to see if I've missed any. I don't think I have. I'm going to put that to one side, close my Versamark, just give my worktop a quick wipe. I can pop all the black back into the pot in a little while. And because this is a heat resistant mat, I can heat it up directly on. So get the heat gun warm first and then come in and start melting. You don't have to use black, you can use clear because it is black anyway. Okay, we just need to leave that to cool for a second or two because that is going to be hot, and then I'll be right back. All right, so that's now completely cool and you can see the shine that we've got from that. Love it. So what I want to do now is I want to do the same thing, not to the ghost obviously, to the witch and to the bats. So I'm just going to squidge make sure I've got plenty of the Versamark onto the little characters, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place them into the tub, and then I'm going to dump the black over the top again. I have already put it back into the pot. There we go. Make sure they're all covered. Give it a shake, and that way you know where they are. And if you've got a pair of tweezers, which I did have somewhere, yep, here we go. It makes it a bit easier just to lift them back out again. That's one. Two. Now then, that wing doesn't look like it's covered properly. Right, we can come back and sort that out later. Pick up the witch. She looks all right. Now then, let's just do these first. Fiddly little bits. Which, and then the last little bat. Okay, now that one definitely is missing a little bit on its back. So I'm going to go back in on its back, on its wing, I should say. So I'm going to go back in, give that a good coating, and then give that another going over. That's much better. There we go. All right, so let's just leave those to cool down for a second or two. I'll get all this black embossing powder put away again into the pot, and then I'll be right back. Okay, because you saw me do the witch and the bats, I didn't really think it was there was no point actually showing you how I'd done the ghost, because I've just done exactly the same thing, but I've used white Cliffs of Dover instead of black. So white embossing powder instead of black embossing powder. So there we go. All right, so time to have a quick tidy up, and then we'll get ready for construction. All right, so the next step is I want to add some of that yellow behind the window. So I'm just going to flip that over. And I've got some scissors here. So I'm just going to cut some strips of yellow cardstock. Actually, that one strip might just actually do it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cover two at a time, I think. Should do it. Those two there. If I just snip that there. That should be the same for the other piece as well. So to cover there and there. And then just those two like that. So that should be probably about there. So let's take that down just a little bit. Yeah, that should do us, I think. There, and then that one will just go over the top there, and that's going to cover all three. So what I'll do is grab some glue. What did I do with that spirit glue? There it is. And I'm just going to gently just add some around the windows. That should do it. And then using, I can just slide that up. Like so. There we go. And now we have lights on in the house. How fabulous. Okay. I'm just going to leave that to dry for a second or two, and then we'll be back. All right, so before we go any further, what I'm going to do is, I'm not happy with the fact that there's not there's no grounding down there. So what I want to do is I'm just going to put this back down here and just kind of position it. Yeah, that's probably about right. Grab some more of that vintage photo, just line it up again. Actually, maybe just bring it down a bit further. Okay, just intensify it a little bit more. Now that can sit on there just that little bit better. Love it a lot. Right, so let's get that glued down. So I'll just use back of there, because they're going to be touching more than anywhere else. And just drop that down into the middle. Okay, and then we can add our other little elements now. So the ghosty, a couple of little blobs, and we'll have him about there. And then our witch. Is going to go right up here. Like so. And then our three little bats. Just brush that off. A little bit of embossing powder just stuck to the back, just where we don't want it. I obviously forgot to clean that off. Little blob of glue, a little bit too much there, a little bit of blob of glue there, that'll do. And then flip that over. Drop that down. Just like that. And there we've got one spooky Halloween house.